Hey, welcome to Back Talks. This is Dr. Sean McWilliams. Happy Wednesday. I have a question for you. If you're having back pain or you know someone is, have you ever thought that their actually feet might be the cause of their chronic back pain? Well, if you have asked yourself that question, you are not alone. A lot of people actually wonder about that and ask me about it in my practice. So let's talk about that today. And let me show you if that's actually really true, that your feet could cause your back pain. A lot of people are like, how could that ever happen? Well, let me show you some pretty cool technology that I think might inspire you and might make you rethink this as a possible source of back pain. So let's get into it. Hey, if it was your first time here, welcome. It is so great to have you here. We are a community that supports people that are suffering with chronic back pain and neck pain, especially moms who just can't be their best selves because they're suffering with chronic neck pain and back pain, and we are here to help you navigate sometimes this tricky situation, bring hope into your life, and let you realize that there are a tremendous amount of non-surgical answers and solutions that you can use. And so if that is you, you're at the right place. And if you've been here with us the whole time for over the last year and almost a half, every Wednesday, welcome back. It's so great to have you part of our family. And if that is so, please say hello in the chat. I'll make sure that it's open here so I can see it. Sometimes doesn't always work perfectly, so if you don't see me responding back or saying hello to you, make sure you put your stuff in again and send it again. This technology just isn't always as perfect as we would like for it to be. So let's get on with the show today. Can losses of your foot arches cause back pain? Well, that's a great question, and so let's talk about it. So the first thing you need to understand is that there is actually a machine that can do a digital foot scan. And a digital foot scan, especially the one that I've had in my office, does a double scan of your feet. So one of the cool parts about it is that you're actually standing on your feet. So you're standing in gravity with your body weight going through your arches, because your arches will change if you're lying flat on your bed out of gravity versus if you're standing with your whole body being supported by your feet and your legs. So that's the scan that you want. You want to see if there's ligament deformation taking place, which means the ligaments change their length due to a stress or a weight put upon them. So what we can do is we can do a digital foot scan like this, and let me show you what it's supposed to look like here. So for starters, this is a pretty normal foot scan. And so what a lot of people don't realize is that there's actually 3 arches to the human foot, not just one. So let's go through this. So I'm going to show you the most common one. And this is the one that, if you've been in a pool, when you were a kid and you get out of the water and your feet are still wet and you're walking on the pavement, you can see that kind of cool imprint of your foot, right? And we all know that usually this arch right here should bow inward. And that is number 1 arch. And that is called the medial arch of the foot. And on this other foot, same exact thing, minus my bad drawing that I just did right there. Okay? So it should bow inward. The number 2 arch of the foot is what's called the mid-tarsal arch. And that is this arch right here. So I'm going to change colors. I'm going to make this orange for you here. All right? Especially this part should be bowing upward. That's what we want to see. So this is number 2 arch, the mid-tarsal arch. And then the 3rd arch of the human foot is this one. And we'll do it in hot pink. So this area right here is called the mid-tarsal arch. Okay? So there's 3 arches to the human foot, not just one. And that's super important because, when they build a skyscraper, they don't just lay it down like a little piece of cement and start building on top of it, right? What do? They usually dig a big hole in the earth and then they pound huge steel girders way down into the earth because it needs to be able to have support for the weight of the building, all the office chairs, the desks, the humans, the elevators, you know the whole deal, right? Plus weather and its ability to support. So the deeper that foundation is, the stronger that building is. Well, the same thing happens in our body. The foundation for our spine is our feet. That's where it starts at. And so you have to have all three of these arches. So let me show you an example of a person that does not have great arches. So same foot scan, and let's go take a look. So arch number 1 right here, as you can see, is bowing outward slightly. And I wouldn't consider this to be a really bad medial arch right here, but it's not normal, especially right here. So you can see how it bows out. We don't want it bowing out like that. Remember, we want it bowing in, like you can see right here. The number 2 arch is where you start to see some loss at. I would say this is probably their number 2 issue. And see how flat that is right there? Remember, we want that coming up like this. That lets us know that the mid-tarsal arch, or the second cuneiform bone in the foot, is actually doing its job properly and is sitting up where it's supposed to, because each one of these arches has a keystone bone that supports the upper part of that arch. And then the 3rd arch that we want to make sure that we're seeing is this one right here, and this is this mid-tarsal arch. And you can tell in this person, all this red, there should be no red in here. So you see how this is totally collapsed, and it's totally collapsed on both their feet going through there, and also so is their mid-tarsal arch. It's totally collapsed on both their feet. There's a little bit right there, okay, but that's not normal. So what's that mean to you? Well, this is what happens, unfortunately. When we have normal arches in our feet, the foot should sit totally stationary and neutral. Therefore, the knees should not hyperrotate, and the knees should be level. The hips should be level, and your shoulders should be level, and your skull should be level. So that's what our bodies, how they should function when we have normal foot biomechanics. But what happens when we start to hyperpronate, or we start to lose our arches and our arches drop in? Well, this is what starts taking place. You get an arch that rolls in too much. Then the knee internally rotates more than 3 degrees than it's supposed to. So the knee is supposed to rotate 3 degrees when we're standing still, and does a thing called home lock, where it locks into place right there. And therefore, you don't really have to use your muscles of your legs. You ever think about it? You're standing on both your legs, and your knees go into that, it's called screw home, excuse me, and locks in at 3 degrees. You really don't have to use your muscles. As soon as you bend your knees a little bit and you get out of screw home and it unlocks itself, then you have to use your muscles to do the work. So what we found is that when people have abnormal loss of arches, we get internal knee rotation. Then what happens is the pelvis typically lowers, goes low on that side. The shoulders and upper spine typically will go the opposite way, and then the skull a lot of times will go the opposite way. And this is this balancing act that our body does to try to compensate. The problem is that when it comes to low back pain, for instance, when your pelvis isn't level, your spine has to curve. And that's what it does. And it starts going through this process of curvature. They call that scoliosis. There's all different mild, moderate, and severe forms of that. But when we have an unlevel pelvis and a curvature, there's always abnormal stress on the low back. And that's one of the biggest reasons right there why most people who have chronic low back pain, if they've never had their feet scanned, need to get their feet scanned, because if you don't address the feet, you don't address the foundation for the skyscraper before you build the skyscraper, that skyscraper is going to have engineering faults in it, and it's going to fail. And it's going to be a major catastrophe. The catastrophe in our body is degenerated disc disease and bulging and herniated discs because of abnormal foot mechanics. So I want you to understand that. So if you're suffering with chronic back pain or mid back pain or neck pain and you can't figure it out, please go get your feet scanned. If you live in our community, I'll show you a slide here next where you can actually come and get it done. Right now, I'm doing it complimentary. Normally it's $97 to get your foot scanned. It takes about 5 minutes to do. We'll put it up on the big screen and we'll take a look exactly like we just did here, and we'll see if you're in good shape. You know, so the good thing is you want to get it done, because if your feet are in great shape, that's awesome. Let's just make sure they stay that way. If they're not in good shape and you're losing your arches and this process is occurring, well, let's get your feet to have the normal foundation they were designed to, so that your pelvis can be level and you can stop twisting and continually torquing the low back disc every time you walk and do activities, especially if you're a runner. This is paramount if you're a runner. Okay, so I hope you learned a little bit about how your feet work. If you would like to get a digital foot scan, we would love to do it for you if you're in our area of Georgia. If you're not, you can always go to footlevelers.com and find a doctor as well. You could probably do it for you in your community, but please go get it done. You're going to be glad that you did. And you'll see this a lot in children. I just had one of my moms came in 2 weeks ago. She was having chronic jaw issues, couldn't figure them out. Well, I was like, you know what, we need to check we saw x-rays of her low back. It looked very similar to the ones I just showed you here. We did a scan on her feet. We realized that she was losing her arches. We put her in a great pair of orthotics, got her pelvis level, and it's been an amazing difference for her jaw pain. So 80% of jaw pain, believe it or not, is because of an unlevel pelvis. So if you're suffering with jaw pain, you definitely want to get your feet checked and get them scanned, okay? Because most of the time, doctors are just going to look at your jaw and they're not going to look at you as a whole human being, which we need to do that. We need to do that more. That's being a great doctor. So if you would like to book a call with me, if you're dealing with chronic low back pain or neck pain, especially if you're a mom and you can't be the mom that you want to be, and you want to get back to that, we want to help you. So you can go to booking.drshawnmcwilliams.com right here, and that's going to send you to my calendar. Pick a day and a time that works for you and works for my schedule. You'll fill out a little form and let me know everything you've been dealing with, so we can have a really good talk together for 15 or 20 minutes on Zoom. And I guarantee we're going to shed some positive light on your situation and help you get in the right direction. If we think the course that we've created, Disc University, would be of help to you, I would love to share that with you. And if I don't think it is, then I'm going to help you get to the right person as well. So hope you take advantage of that. I normally charge $197 to do those consultations, and for August, I'm doing them complimentary. So please take advantage of that. It doesn't cost you anything except a little bit of time and energy, and I guarantee you're going to be very glad that you spent that time with me, and you're going to know a lot more about your spinal health than you probably ever have before. So especially if you have some images like an MRI or x-rays. So take advantage of that. And if you are in our area and you want to get your feet scanned, you can go onto that same calendar, and let's get you set up for a foot scan. Let's take a look at it. So let's see here. I'm looking at Marisa's message. What are you saying there, Marisa? I'm trying to figure it out. Oh. Are
there exercises? What's the solution?
Oh, what's the solution? So that's a great question. So Marisa is asking, after you get your foot scan, what's the solution? Well, if you have an abnormal scan, like I showed you, typically what we're going to recommend is a pair of orthotics for you that will be custom made to each one of your feet. The computer will actually do 17 measurements of each foot, and we will create a digital blueprint for a normal foot position for you, so we can get your feet back to a neutral position. The other thing we do is we teach you a couple exercises to do as well. We get you rolling your foot, and we also teach you arch exercises for all three of those arches. And when we combine all three of those into the perfect triangle, you're going to have a great stability to your foot and an amazing foundation for your low back and your spine. So that's what we do. And we'll teach you all that stuff as well. So if anybody else has any questions, let me know. I hope you take advantage of booking with me. If you feel like this was some really cool information, make sure you follow us and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you get the newest stuff that we put out. You'll be first in line for that. And I hope you'll share this video with someone that you love and you care about, that you know is dealing with chronic back pain, who might not know this. and so that we can shed some positive, happy light into their life and help give them some guidance so they don't have to keep suffering. So it's great to have you here. We appreciate you being here with us every single week, and it's always a resource. We're always a resource for you to find non-surgical approaches to managing your chronic neck and low back pain. I love and appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. I will see you next Wednesday.